Keke Palmer is here. Taylor Parks is here. Thank you guys for both joining me.
Oh my gosh, yes, it's good to see you. Last time I seen you, we're one of them days.
Yes, one of them days premiere. You and SZA,
yeah.
by the way, had a chance to talk to both of you there, and I thought that movie was phenomenal. So
thank you.
Exciting to
hear
part two.
It was good to have you. Yeah, so thanks for doing that.
Oh no, I appreciate it. And you guys working together as friends on this new album, this new project. Yeah. And I feel like y'all just the energy that you have together, it was definitely like a diary.
Yeah.
It's definitely like a diary.
Mm-hmm. She's the only person that I would ever want to talk to any of these things about. But it was such a big, when I think about an album or putting a project together like this, I want to timestamp this moment in my life. Mm-hmm. And this one was just so, deep. I got so much closer to myself, but through the process of working with her, I feel like I was able to transmute it through the music.
Yeah. And it was a nice relief for me because I was like, wow, it's not often that I work with somebody as a songwriter that I know so well. It's usually like, okay, I got to get a little bit of info from you to try to do something real, but this one was not a nice relief.
It's just Keke, and there's no guest appearances.
No, well, we have some, we have guest appearances, from Issa Rae, in terms of, the visual aspect of it. And also, her voice is on the album as well. Taylor's featured on there in the interlude. But, other than that, it's
really just
me.
Keke.
It's just Keke. It's just Keke.
Oh, and so this is 3 acts. Mm-hmm. So the beginning is kind of the... in love, I want to have your baby.
Yeah. So it starts with, I remember we were talking about that, starting it out with Off Script. It kind of starts with that nostalgic, record scratch of, how did I get here? So the first record you get is Off Script, and then, how did I get here? It transports you into the beginning. And
right.
It's 125. That's the beginning of the second act of, falling in love and what that felt like. And then we find our way to Confessions, and where things kind of take a turn or the energy has changed. And then we get to the final act where it's closure is personal and singular in this regard. Mm-hmm. But then knowing that there's always going to be a continuation because, we have our child together,
Right.
And in terms of that, too, also, continuation in my life of just knowing that sometimes things are not a clean cut, and how do I move forward now knowing, maturing through that.
Yeah. No, when you put out Confessions, that was a tizzy for everybody. Because when I tell you the different layers that you could look at from that.
Yes, of course. I mean, that's why we use the Confessions. I mean, when she was in there, when it was me, her, and Cam, and we're working on it, and they were like, Taylor was like, we need to talk about it. And I'm like, what you need to talk about? You need to talk about the night. We need to talk about it. We need to talk about the situation. I'm like, oh, no.
Only she could get you to do that, too.
Only she could get me to do that.
We got it.
And then how did we decide the confession?
Because it was just
right
naturally
there.
coming. It was naturally coming with that, and so then you're like, oh, okay, we got the confession. The situation happened with Usher. Okay, is there a moment that we're confessing something that they don't know about? I mean, it's pretty obvious.
Yeah, and that's also, I feel like we have moments of levity, of satire, where if you're really listening, you'll get into some of the comedy and the humor that I think has to be in my music because that's my personality. That's the tone in which I do anything. So, even if I'm going to do Confessions, you're going to get a chuckle on the fact that she really did Confessions and she really confessed.
You are not the person anybody should want to break up with.
I mean, honestly, anytime anybody is with an artist of any kind, you could either get a movie about you, a book about you, an album about you. Yep. If you were a part of my life and you meant something.
Well, we got all the above because we got an album, we got visuals to go along with it, and all of the things. And there's even a little Keke and a Bee moment on the visuals.
Yeah.
What was the word? Perfidious?
Yeah.
Perfidy?
Yeah, perfidious, yeah.
I never even heard that word.
We've done so many different pop culture, some of these pop culture references that were ultimately really meaningful to me and spoke, all the artists, I reference speak to me on a personal level. And then we were thinking about me in pop culture and Aquila and the Bee and just the word and spelling. And I think it was Taylor, she was just like, we should do something with that. Maybe spells. I'm like, let me see what a word. And I found perfidy and I thought it was just perfect for kind of bridging us into where things change, where that sense of betrayal transports us into that second act.
Mm-hmm. And and for you, Taylor, you have your own things that you're bringing to the table as an artist in your own right and as a songwriter too, in your project as well, where you talk about. I want to ask you guys this because people think that women always have this emotional support X. And
Yep, I have a song called Emotional Support X.
and so is that a real thing? Like, do you think that all women have somebody that when things go left that we call and
I do.
Absolutely.
I personally do think that that's real. I do think everybody, I mean, it could be from a year ago. It could be from many years ago. It could be, you know what I'm saying? But there's somebody that it's like where you're like, oh my gosh, it failed again. Let me talk to someone.
Exactly. Let me get
when
a
it
little
first
bit
failed.
something,
You know, exactly. When it first
At least I
failed.
know how that goes, you know.
Yeah, I think it's really, I don't know what that is, but yeah, I mean, I think that is true. I think that guys have it too, though.
oh,
Exactly.
Guys
it ain't
have
just
that.
women. They might have 2 or 3.
They might, and it's maybe not even just emotional support. I feel like the way that as women we get over things when we're off something, we have more of an emotional connection. Men have more like a physical
Yeah, they're like, I want that old thing
connection.
back.
Like they
But
just
it's not like,
They want that old feeling back. Yeah, we
Yeah.
know what you're talking about.
But sometimes it actually makes you more depressed when you do that.
Of course it does, but because you remember why it didn't work out.
Yeah, you're
you
like,
kind of
ugh.
go back. It's like when they say you can't heal in a place that you got hurt.
Yeah, yeah.
It's that kind
That's
of
a real thing.
You know what I mean? And
So
even
true.
if it didn't hurt, man, maybe it was just a, hey, we moved parts. Even if you go back, you're going to be like, oh, I remember this still wasn't what I needed it to be. Once you move on, it's, yeah.
This is such a time for you, though, because I think that all the different things that you've been doing, you had a memoir that you put out recently, too.
Master of Me, yes.
Master of Me, where you were just very transparent about things that have gone on in your life. I feel like you're in a space now where we've watched you grow up. And sometimes that's difficult, too, because you have people in a certain space and, like, how we remember you, you know, as young Keke. But now you're, first of all, look amazing in the
my gosh, thank
visuals,
you.
like, just beautiful. And seeing all of that. But then also, this relationship was different because we haven't seen, like, the clash of things and your personal coming to the light like that in this way. And that has to be hard to see people kind of weighing in when you're going through something in real life.
Yeah, I mean, I think, yes, the weighing in, but then also just the fact that there was anything to weigh in, too. I think as a performer, everything begins to feel like a performance to people, but some things are not. Like, I would never perform drama or you know, give people something that I felt was not of service to them. So I think that was really the toughest part of it for me. It's like, oh, no, you know, when you see Keke, I want you to have joy. I want you to, I definitely don't want you to worry about me, especially things that I can handle or I'm going to handle. I have my family to help me handle. So that was really tough for me because I really do care about how I represent myself and represent my community. So that was very hard. But at the same time, I know that I am just Keke, you know.
Right.
I'm becoming
real.
like I'm real. I'm becoming just like everybody else. And as much as I didn't want any of that to happen, and Taylor and I was talking about it, it's changed me for the better. There were things that I didn't even address that happened in my life before that relationship where I felt, yeah, I want to now integrate those things into my artistry, and instead of shying away from them and solely wanting everything to be perfect, find a way to talk about the heart, talk about the hurt, and still present it in a way that I feel gives me authorship. And I feel like that was the reclamation that happened with this album, not only for what I've experienced in my love life, but even in my career. You know, I use so many showbiz devices, even the teasers that we jumped into to, you know, give people the context of the Just Keke album with the doll and me existing as a product and themes of fragmentation and integration. That's what it's all about. And the love, of course, is one that people can see that, you know, they know maybe the most or feel most connected to, most related to. But it's so much more than that too.
No, this is definitely like a movie. So talk to me about what it was like just sitting down and writing this together and coming up with the themes, because some of this feels like it had to be hard to even...
It was, but Taylor was, I mean, she's the executive producer for a reason, so she didn't just produce the music, she also produced the conversation around how we're going to tell it. So I remember we were just sitting there talking about, like, I'm thinking to them, how I'm going to present this? You know what I'm saying? And I think we just somehow came on this show, like a Keke show type of thing.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
okay.
And then
Yeah.
you started bringing up these references.
Yeah.
You know, you first played the Moesha flip.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And then the Living Single, we're like, okay, there's nostalgia here. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying? So there's like, let's take it back. And then when we took a break, we started the first half in Atlanta, then we took a break, and that's when I was like, Just Keke.
Yep.
Let me bring back the title of my first talk show, and then I say, well, what if it's a variety show? And so those interludes become like sketch vignettes, like you would see in the Amanda Show or SNL, and the music videos are, you know, another transition through that. And we slowly started coming together, you know what I mean? But she, from the beginning, you know, we were thinking about the bigger picture of it.
What are we introducing you like to in this new phase in your life? How are we telling that story? It's so important for songwriters and artists to connect in a way that is saying, okay, this is a whole album that we have all of this amount of time to tell where you are now. And it might be a whole year or 6 months, how long the album cycle is, until they hear from your side again in this type of way. And we want to make sure that whoever you are exactly right now is represented in the album. And from top to bottom, we just went back through the story. Okay, so what was the date? What happened on that date? Why did it happen? How do you feel about it before versus how you feel about it now? That's a song.
That was big, and that question right there is what got us off script and misunderstood in one day.
Wow.
Literally, we were sitting down talking literally, and she was like, "How did you feel then?" That's off script.
Yeah, because
how do I feel now? Misunderstood.
It's kind of like you guys were thinking a lot about what people thought about what was happening, how the public was perceived.
Now we care too much about how it looks. That girl, that song. When I tell you, after we recorded that song, before she even put the finishing touches on the track, I was on the treadmill, like, yes. How's it feel? And when I was telling her, I was like, it's so deep because, you know, there's the relationship in my personal life, but then there's the relationship, one of my longest relationships, which is with my audience. I've been performing since I was 9 years old, and when that moment happened, I feel like maybe finally people, not that they wanted to see something crazy, but I feel like people were like, wow, I really do see me in her, because it was humanizing.
Yeah.
Nobody wants that type of thing to happen.
Nobody likes perfection.
But it's not, it's like, you see. Yeah. And so it's like, now I really, it ain't all that. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, I am misunderstood. We're misunderstood. So it's about the relationship and how that feels, but also it's like the final song, because it's me also telling my audience, so now you know.
Right.
Exactly. But you knew anyway.
Yeah, listen, what makes this so great is because it is a journey of some of these things that we saw, and now we know the real truth from behind the scenes. And even on a song like I Want to Know, I listen to that and I'm like, what is wrong with us? Why do I want to know?
Exactly.
We do be wanting to know.
And that
make
song
an
is
informed
like,
decision.
When somebody cheats on you, why do we want to know the details? Like, did he do this to you? I remember I had an ex-boyfriend who cheated on me, and he actually had the girl in my house at the time. Oh. And I found out, and she was telling me everything. And I was like, yes.
Wow.
And did you think that she told you because she was mad at him? Or did she tell you everything because she was jealous of you, or maybe both?
Well, I was a lot younger. He was working at IKEA.
Period.
Which is how I got all my furniture.
Come on,
and
plug.
he sent me to the register that the girl he was cheating on me with worked at to steal. No. But anyway,
I live for this storyline.
Okay,
I'm
so,
following.
but I thought it was crazy because I ended up speaking to her, and she was describing things in my house, so I knew she wasn't lying. And then she was like, "Girl, we had sex in the shower. We didn't use a condom." I was like, "Oh my God, why am I listening to this?" And then sometimes people want to meet up and talk about it.
Oh yeah,
and you're like, "I'm not meeting up with you."
I literally have been I've been the receiving end of situation, but I've also been the person that's talked to other people. I mean, been there for my girl, and it's so common. And that's why when I first recorded that song, I was like, this is so cringy. It gave me such a deep feeling, and that's when I knew I gotta put it on the album. It's gotta be on the album.
The truth can help you move forward. Sometimes you just want to know, just so you're like, look, just tell me. Just rip the Band-Aid off. Just hurt me already so I can be over this.
Do you love her?
Exactly.
Do you?
Exactly.
Because just even having to picture that, man, it's painful. But
and even even if it's not cheating, it's still if we broke up.
Still hurts.
Period.
Right.
We broke up, and now you I made a life with you in my mind. We already had 3 decades of marriage.
Yeah.
And we didn't even get to the first. And now we separated, and now you're gonna have our child could now have, who's the stepmama?
Exactly.
You think about all those things.
Oh my God.
You know what I mean? Where it's like, who the hell, my baby? What siblings?
That would be crazy.
That's the reality.
But that is reality. You even said, did she give you that good throat?
Come on now.
I'm not asking nobody that.
Oh my God. But everybody's like, it makes you on the edge of your seat. And the music video is even crazy.
Yes, it is. But I do love it. And I do feel like it's relatable, because this is how, you are in your 30s now. You are a mother.
Mm-hmm. And your mind goes places. You got to face things.
You're like, who got my baby on their hip?
Yeah.
Right now.
Right now. Don't nobody tuck him in the bed.
Yes.
People really thought too, because they watch you and they're like, are they getting back together? They spent this holiday, da 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 da.
Yeah.
And they don't want you to. Like, no, because I do feel like your audience is, your fans, people that grow, they're very protective over you. And that has to be hard for him to deal with too at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, but
Oh, well. No,
I mean, the bed, you make your bed, you got to lay in it, right? You got to own whatever you've done. And obviously, at the end of the day, I appreciate the love and the support from my fans. And hopefully they know and understand what I do and I don't condone. That's why I had to move the way I was moving, and make the decisions that I made. But at the end of the day, I come from, I'm a forgiving person. If I can move forward in terms of the betterment for my son, we're family. We're always going to be family, regardless of who we end up with and, how our lives continue to progress. I would love for it to remain positive for my son so that we can support him. And so it isn't weird at family things, or, he can have both his parents on Christmas and it can be something positive,
Yeah.
And that's what the hope would be always.
What about how he's going to receive this and his family? Because this is like you bearing your truth, bearing your soul, telling things from your point of view.
Yeah.
Right? And you know what they always say, there's my point of view, your point of view, and the truth. And sometimes there's a little blurry line in between there. But did you think about that, and have you given him a heads up? Has he heard any of this? Or
Well, everybody has their own perspective, whether we agree with it or not. You know what I'm saying? My thing with me, I know I'm a public figure, and it seems as if, she used that to her advantage. But no, I'm just an artist. I've been an artist before I met him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was telling my story before he was a part of it. So I'm not going to now just stop telling my story for the benefit of someone else's comfortability. I think that's what people have to understand when they're dating somebody in the industry.
Yeah, it is what it is.
It is what it is.
It's a
You're gonna be a part of my work somehow. I don't know any artists that haven't written about their life and whoever's in it.
And when things are good, you can't just have the good
Exactly. You want the love songs, but you don't want the other type of songs that come with it. No.
And if you're quiet, don't nobody have to know it's you. You know? But at the end of the day, I didn't really think too much about it, about the family or anything like that.
Because he didn't used to like them. His own family. Like
we mentioned that. We mentioned that. Like, what you mean?
They don't like me, that's fine.
Come on. But when did you get back on their side? Because what?
Holler at me. I lived for that when that was, girl, hate that. Just little tidbits. But yeah, I felt like it is what it is. This is my work, man.
Yeah,
this is my work. You know what I'm saying? Do I come to your cubicle and tell you what to put on your papers?
No.
That's what it would be like. People don't see it that way, but this is mine over here. You want to do an album, do your album.
Yeah.
But this is mine. And so that's how I felt. And I played it for him, obviously, out of respect. We co-parents
so you
and
did.
everything. Yeah, like that. I did, but he liked it. I mean, look, I don't know what he did when he first heard it. For all I know, he could have been like, But when he talked to me, he said, "I'm happy for you."
Yeah.
And it's a really great album, And I was, I
good.
appreciate that. Yeah, I did. He got some sense.
Exactly. Because I'm like,
good when he hear it.
Exactly. You know what's up. Come on now.
Which was the one that you were like, this might, I'm a little like.
The ones that I thought, okay, yeah, I felt like, obviously Confession, I was like, could be triggering.
That's why I put that out early. Get that out the way.
Just ripping it off.
Could be triggering.
Kind of petty, yeah.
Off script.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? There was a couple of moments that misunderstood.
Yeah. Yeah, with the Stedman reference, it's like,
because some people, Stedman goes two ways, but I live for Stedman.
Exactly.
People,
we love Stedman.
They can go one of two ways for folks.
Exactly.
But yeah, there was a couple of moments, but at the end of the day, like I said, it's the truth.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's real.
It's your truth.
But unless it's you, it's truthful too. Because
oh my gosh, yeah.
There's also that, because it feels like on this album, even though it's over, and it also feels like you don't want it to be over.
It's a mourning. I actually put it's a quote right before that comes up in the visual album where I say, how do you mourn a love that'll never die, yet and still will never be the same again? And that's like, nobody has a kid, gets married for it to end. Nobody. And I think for me, I'm interested how you came to it, because this is a record that she came to me with. Like after, we were coming to the end of the album, and she was like, "I got one more to play you that I think we need."
Yeah.
And when she played it, I immediately cried. But that's what she does. That's her gift. She knows how to use someone as a muse and bring the best out of what they're saying. Yeah. And I want you to answer how you came to it. But for me, when she wrote it and when I recorded it, what I was feeling was that good. It's a love song, but it's also a farewell to what used to be and can never be again. It's almost like a time capsule of what brought my son into this world. And it was the most intimate expression of my romantic depth that I never would even think to show, but never really had the opportunity to show in a medium like music, which I think is the safest place, because I'm not gonna really get up on there on Oprah couch like Tom Cruise and jump up and down. You know what I mean? But I can show you my heart through song, and that's what Unless It's You is. So yeah, I really want to know how did you just what made you write such a deep?
By the time we were like in that phase of it all, I was like, we gotta have, because I know that showing your romantic side, even though you're such a romantic, you know what I'm saying? But showing your romantic side, you'd rather be like, ra-ta-ta, like, let's make a little joke, bye. You know what I'm saying? But I'm like, no, not this time. I'm not gonna let you off that easy. We still have a few more songs in which I need you to dig even deeper. And this song, especially, you know, like, even like, you know, knowing there had to be a song about my nephew on here, like, you know, and a little bit about the family, this new family dynamic that I'm also witnessing for the very first time, seeing you as a mother, seeing you as, you know, when you were in this relationship, it was just a very different side of you. And it was really important, because I think that it is adding a lot to who you are in this next thing. You know, they've seen you so many years, and I think that vulnerability, especially with that song, and you taking that risk and being like, fuck it, we're gonna jump off into the deep end, is the scariest thing you could have done, and now it's done, and something that'll live forever. It was definitely necessary.
Oh my gosh, I agree with you so much. It's like, again, like, that's why I like that new show that came out, Forever, that Mara had.
Oh yeah, I love that.
You know, because sometimes love ends, but like when you really love, it's always worth it. And that's what that song also holds. Yeah. It's like, it's me also saying, like, I really loved you guys, and for that reason, it's okay. You know.
You know what they say, I'd rather have loved and lost than never have loved at all, right?
Absolutely.
Always.
You know, Taylor, it seems like you were going through some things too. Like, how therapeutic was this for you?
I mean, it was amazing. I think, like, me and Keke, we've been besties since 9. And anytime you see, like, you know, I'm meeting a new version of her as a mother. I am meeting a new version of her, like, when she falls in love with somebody. And so just being able to be, like, a part of that and being like, okay, my friend is going through some growing pains right now. And I'm going to be there for her in a different way than when we were 12 or 10 or whatever. And of course, you have your own life experience. I think if you can relate to a song, or if you have an emotion, there's billions of others who have that same emotion. Right. So there's no emotion that is new under the sun. So it's like, we felt what heartbreak is before, and we used to, you know, listen to songs that we had no idea, you know, until later on, you know, in life. And so, yeah, I definitely was just going through that thing of, man, I'm very, very protective over my friend. And so when she tells me a story, this hurt me or this thing, it makes me I'm right here with you. I'm so locked in, and I want to make sure that all of the emotions that you're making me feel with your honesty, I need to make the people relate to this in less than 30 seconds.
You know what's phenomenal about this story, too, is you guys being friends from childhood. And doing this together, and also successful in your own rights, and then being able to be like, I'm a, you know, multi-Grammy nominated writer, and then you being, you know, just Keke.
Yes.
But the fact that y'all bring your skills together but trust each other enough, because there's not a lot of that in this business, to be like,
there ain't nobody in this business that I trust like that.
Exactly. I'm like,
nobody. And it really is crazy to the both of us. We met so American Idol for a quick year had a baby version. It was called American Juniors. And me and her both auditioned in our states. She auditioned in Texas. I auditioned in Illinois. We got our golden ticket. We moved to California, and we were there for, like, I think a week. And in that week, they had us do all these different type of things. And we became best friends. Like, we became... Our moms exchanged numbers. Like, I'll see you later. We're besties. I'll see you when you get back. And then both of our parents, for whatever reason, were like, yeah, you know, it ain't working over here in Texas. It ain't working over here in Illinois. We thinking about California. And they were like, let's make a pact to go. And when we go, let's be each other's family. And I mean, we grew up hustling in this industry. We went through ups and downs when we both was like, damn, nobody sees. That's why, you know, it was so special to me. Again, it's what love can do, what love can help you refine in you, and then help you to focus on you enough to heal that. Me and Taylor went through so much as kids in this industry, carrying our dreams and our families on our backs. It was a responsibility. If we didn't work, we were stressed. If this doesn't happen, like my family did all this for me to become something. There were moments and times where me and her, I would just be in the bed and I would just cry. And we could only show it to each other because we didn't want our parents to know. We didn't want anybody to know.
Or somebody you were auditioning with to know. Or because it's like I'm seeing my friends at auditions, and you know what I'm saying. And then we got to go hang out at the studio long. But it's it's very.
We were really stressed, but we could show each other the truth. And I do feel like for a long time it was triggering for me to work with Taylor or for me to do anything because she reminded me of that part of me, that true part of me that was re-exposed through the relationship with my son's father and that I had to face. And so for so many reasons, us doing this album is just like right now. Like it was like this is the time and moment for us to come together because I healed from so much through it.
Yeah, we could have never planned like, okay, when we were, so young, we could have never planned, okay, you about to go off and you're going to do this music thing, like this thing, you're going to go off and you're going to do all of this other thing, and we're going to link back up. Yeah. It was literally, it couldn't have been planned better than it happened. And to be able to support, I remember, years, we had to be like 11 years old, and you signed this picture. We signed little headshots. You're like, don't forget about me when you become a big star.
Yep.
And we truly believe, I still have it, and we believed in each other so much that no matter what, we're going to be seeing each other, and we're going to bring it back around together. And then, it was perfect.
It's crazy. It just made me think about, oh my gosh, what was I just going to say? I was just thinking about something when we were kids, but then.
Some True Jackson VP vibes.
We were on True Jackson VP. It's something, but if I remember it, I'll bring it up. But,
yeah.
And just one of them days too, how can I not? We got to like get into that. So when does that start? Do we have a script? What's going on?
So yeah, they're working on the script right now. We have like a, faint idea what it's going to be. And I mean, it's probably going to film as early as next year. I mean, they're moving so fast. It's insane.
Necessary.
So I'm excited. I was so happy, for myself, obviously producing this, but also just with Issa, who brought it to me to produce with her. She's just so awesome in every way. Honestly, I can't say it enough. And I think it's so important. You talk about me and Taylor collaborating, like us collaborating, us women collaborating, and us as a community collaborating and telling stories that only we can tell. I think it's very important. And so I'm excited to be doing another one with her. And it's an original IP. So kudos to that, too.
Recently the news broke about Spaceballs.
Oh, yeah.
Too. So tell me something about that. I remember Spaceballs when I was a kid. I remember Pizza the Hut. I saw you and Eddie on Jennifer Hudson.
Oh, my gosh. Yes, Jennifer. So you had
I didn't even see somebody that you were on the floor there that just peeked in. I was like, where did that just pop up from? Like, Keke, don't say that.
The AI publicist. Yeah, the pickup comes out in August 6th, I believe, and I'm so excited about it. I was so happy to work with Eddie, and I think working with him and just watching him on the set of the pickup really helped me for one of them days. Like just the little things I was watching him do and the choices that he made were so inspiring, and I was excited to get that opportunity.
I also saw something about you maybe on Broadway.
I would love to do Broadway. I mean, there's been talks of different projects, but I would love to originate a role. The one time that I did do Broadway was Cinderella, and it was Rodgers and Hammerstein, and the track had already been set, so I was kind of following someone else's. So if I got the chance, I would love to do it again, and I would love to do something that I could originate.
I love seeing you in this role also as a host. I think you do a tremendous job, just from me, being on air and hosting, but seeing the space that you're in and how you're able to navigate that and how comfortable people feel talking to you. That's a real gift to see you in that space too. Everybody's like,
that.
Whenever I talk to people, I was like, oh yeah, Keke Punk. They're like, oh my God, I love Keke. And I think being able to see your personality the way that they do, in that space, because sometimes when people are actors, you don't know if you're getting like the real them. You don't know who they are.
Just talking about this because I feel that way because I'm around way more musicians than I am actors. But I'm like, you're probably one of the few actresses and like actresses that is like,
they just seem like blank.
For real.
They seem like robots to people, but it's like, I mean, we do have to be. There is a skill of being like a blank canvas, but then also, like being able to share your voice, and I think that's why I love being able to. First of all, find myself through social media as an artist. That was like a big thing for me in my career was, oh my gosh, I don't have to like just audition for what people think I should be. I can create things around what I want to talk about. And then that led into me realizing that I wanted to host because, I did want to exist as just me, the person, outside of just like performance. Obviously, there's a public persona, but like I'm really curious and I care about people in my generation and I want to hear what people got to say and I want us to discuss what that meant and how we all thought about it and to move forward from there if it hopefully helped us learn anything. And so with Baby, This is Keke Palmer, that's what I'm like, I love being able to do that.
Yeah, just even hearing you, I saw the interviews you did for Forever. And you're so passionate about the show, just even talking about here.
Even you love it. So what do we think about? Anytime I show up and we haven't talked. So what do you think about this? Let's talk about it. I'm like, okay, we can talk about it.
Because all my friends know it's like I love to get into pop culture. I love to say what's on my mind and see what people are thinking about it. What if blah 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 blah. I just love just digesting together and getting into a little gossip if we need be. We're not trying to hurt nobody, be low down, but like let's talk about the tea.
You know what? And I do think, and there's been a couple of times when people have not liked some of the choices that you made, but that also does happen the more that you do.
It does.
So it's something that I think, because I feel like Keke Palmer, in the space that you were in, I don't know if maybe you weren't used to that. So what was that like for you to see
with
that
the podcast particularly, or like just like
in
my
general,
hosting?
but also with the podcast?
You know, it was tough because I do think, when I'm doing the podcast or when I'm doing like hosting or any type of journalism, and I use that loosely because I know journalism, that's a real, people go to school for that. I didn't go to school for it, so I don't want to call myself a journalist. But if I'm going to interview people, I want to come from an unbiased place and I want to have guests on that, even if they may be controversial, like I want to hear what they have to say because I think that's what the audience would want. We would want to know and be able to, hopefully as an interviewer, I'm asking the questions that you want to know that make you feel that the interview was worth having. But at the same time, I am a personality to people and I'm an entertainer to people, and that sometimes they don't necessarily think the same way about when they're looking at me doing my interviews.
Right.
And I think it's something I respect. And I wanted to be careful with because I want you to get something from the interview and from what I'm doing. And so if it's not going to reach you and this isn't the right vibe, then I'm going to not shift because I'm trying to appease you, but I'm going to shift because I want to make sure that what we're trying to get through gets through and what I want it to land. I want it to matter and for it to care. And so I think it's just about getting better with that language, people getting comfortable with me in that position and to know the perspective of where I'm coming from and really continue to trust and grow with the brand.
Yeah, it's an interesting dilemma, I think, too, because I even look at, like, Gayle King will do an interview, and people will be mad if she interviewed a certain person, but it's kind of like, people will get mad before they actually see it.
Yeah.
And then...
but it's like those are the interviews. It's crazy because that's what's said, but then those are the interviews people watch so much.
That's what
they're
people
really
want to
curious.
see.
They're really
and whether
curious.
they're watching it to be mad or they're watching it because they're genuinely curious, they're watching it still.
Yeah. So it's this very... It's a toss-up, but all you can do is just do your best. I'm sure you
I know, because specifically, obviously, with the Jonathan Majors one, you think you would put that out further on down the line, or
I would be open to it. I mean, for me, it was a it's not just me. I have partners, and so it was then suggested or decided that, without throwing anybody on the bus, that we shouldn't put it out. But I love Megan, and I'm happy for her, and I support her. And when the interview came up, I was, he was interviewing. I felt like, hey, well,
he did a lot of
he did a lot of interviews.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, let's talk. I would
for some reason, you in particular were the one that people was upset about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just the way that I think that people are like, not my girl, Keke, but it's like, well, she's literally doing.
And it's like, just because you're interviewing somebody doesn't mean you agree with everything.
them.
It doesn't mean that. It just means
Yeah.
I'm interviewing someone, and this is a conversation, and there could be some questions that the audience wants to know that I'm willing to ask.
Exactly.
But if we don't, if it's not gonna hit you and ain't gonna land, then what's the point?
Yeah.
Right.
You can't interview everybody who just only has your views and your thing. That's weird.
That's CNN.
Exactly.
I'm kidding.
Damn.
Maybe right, or Fox. That's Fox. Yeah.
Like, depending on.
And so that's also the thing is like that is the reason why you sometimes have, and again, I'm not trying to say these are my thoughts about Jonathan in particular, but I'm just saying that is why you have all kinds of people on your shows, because
And you can learn something
Perspective.
too from somebody.
Perspective, right?
Yeah.
And so, that is so funny.
Well, I can't wait to see where you're headed to next. Just Keke is coming out. Are you nervous about exposing and just putting it all out there like that?
I maybe was nervous before we made the music, and then by the time we made the music, I got a little bit more relaxed, and then by the time we did the visuals, I was excited, and now I'm ready.
I love it. I think it's going to be great, and it's going to be relatable for people to be able to see it. I think that it tells the true story of what happened, and people are nosy and curious. And they are.
I'd rather you get it from her.
And they do want to see, but there's definitely things for my girls that we're going to be listening to this and being like, remember when? Because it's definitely some of those songs that remember when this happened, or remember that. Okay, and
That's T-Boo.
whoever's next up, good luck to that man.
Okay. Good luck.
He's gonna need
Good luck to that man.
Because I'm gonna be ready. I'm gonna be looking the pen like, okay.
Are you ready to date again?
I mean, I'm open. I'm not like, it's just me and my son, type of vibe. I'm like, I'm working. We outside. We seeing what's good. But, my priorities are in order. I'm worried about this job, and I'm worried about my baby and my family. As long as they good, we can step outside for a bit.
Okay.
I'll be home in a few.
Oh, step outside. I love it. I'm from Chicago. I'm going to let them know.
Exactly.
All right. Well, both of you, thank you so much. The album is out today.
Hey.
So make sure you get it. Just Keke.
You know it's your girl.
And you are going to love the visuals. So take a look at that. Just phenomenal. Job well done. We see why you are who you are.
Way up.